I want to shout, but make no sound. There is only silence, the silence of my anguish. For the words I cannot speak, men don't talk, they say. For the tears I cannot shed, men don't cry, they say. For the embrace I long for, not for men, they say. For the help I cannot seek, men are strong, they say. For the courage I lack, men are brave, they say. For the responsibilities I cannot shoulder, men must provide, they say. I am only human, imperfect, afraid, vulnerable, insecure. I want to shout loud and long, but make no sound. No one can hear. There is only silence, the silence of my anguish. For the silence I must endure, for the words I dare not speak, for the loneliness I feel. I am a man, they say.
I was 13 years old when Faith first touched me. She came into my room in the dead of the night. When I felt a hand clutching me, my body responded immediately. It charged, and I woke up suddenly. I didn't think anything of my response at first because that charging, as my friends and I called it, had become a feature of our lives. Adults called it wet dreams. The lack of control is embarrassing, and we didn't quite understand it, but we knew it had something to do with becoming a real man. Not that we're aware of what being a false man meant. So when Faith fondled me, yes, that's the word, fondled, and it charged, I didn't relate the charging to her fondling. I just thought, what a time to charge. What I did feel, though, was a surge of pleasure that suffused my whole being and made me shudder involuntarily. I was uneasy. What was Faith doing, creeping into my bedroom at night, lying on my bed, and touching me there? Supposing my mother walked in. As if she heard my thoughts, Faith whispered, "No make noise, oh. Make your mama no enter. Anyway, I locked door in case." I was alarmed. Locked door? In our house? I didn't know which would be the greater problem, Faith in my bed or my room door locked. It was family policy to leave doors unlocked, in case. Our parents never quite explained what the in case was. Even the maid was now saying in case. I didn't have time to find that funny. But even as Faith whispered, in case, she didn't stop. I was quite frankly more terrified of my mother walking in than I was desirous of this new head-to-toe body vibration. I just got up from my bed and asked her to leave. She just smiled, looked at me coyly and said, "AJ, you go soon see. That time, now you go dey beg me." I could not sleep for the rest of that night. New feelings had been aroused in me, but it felt all wrong. My mother always said that anything that had to be done under the cover of darkness could not endure the scrutiny of daylight. And I wondered whether to tell my friends or not. After all, I'd become an expert. I know that woman had touched me there. I decided not to say anything about it because I instinctively felt that doing it with a maid was not something I could brag about. And so we started the cat and mouse game. She the cat and me the mouse. Each night after the first encounter, I lay awake for half the night, half afraid and half in anticipation. Each time she passed by me in the house, she would roll her eyes and smile. The mixed dread and anticipation was killing me. I did not know what to do or who to tell. And I was afraid to tell my parents. I didn't want them to think I started it. I knew she would not give up. It was just a matter of time. And she did not give up. It was her 14th birthday gift to me. And she continued to come into my room until my mother fired her for stealing. Now that I think about it, I would call it rape, seduction of a reluctant minor, or at the very least, Faith was a pedophile. The irony of her name and her actions. No, I never did tell my friends because I considered it as something improper or unsavory, and I felt deeply ashamed. To this day, I feel shame, and I think of it as lost innocence. I never got a chance to choose with whom to have that first experience. And I think also that it set me on a journey of addiction to illicit sex. You know that sexual experience that you have that gives you a thrill because you have to hide it. Now that I have sons of my own, I think it's my duty to tell them what I could not tell my friends. For starters, the maid's room has no access to the main house. I don't want them to be gallivanting around my house. One of the bold ones might one day come into my own room to continue what Faith started when my wife is out of town. I am not willing to go down that road again, either for myself or for my sons. You see, people do not realize that we also can be taken advantage of. The penis is not that mighty weapon that many, especially women, see it to be. It can also be a man's most vulnerable part, his Achilles heel. I learned that at great personal cost.
I'm the only boy in a family of 7, and I'm the last child. My mother never tires of telling the story of how her heart leapt when she heard those magic words, "It's a boy." When she tells the story, she claps her hands and raises her eyes to heaven. He did it for me after 6 girls. The way she tells it, you'd think my sister's births were commonplace events, or even sad ones, after the first girl, Ifeoma, which literally speaking is good head, was born. And no, brothers, not the head you're thinking about, dirty minds. Its proper meaning is good beginning, good firstborn. When a second girl is born, looks begin to be exchanged. Oh, another girl? Once a family gets to the 3rd girl in a row, appropriate names are given to console the hapless parents who are yet to be gifted with a boy. And so my 3rd sister's name is Ndidi, patience. My 4th sister's name is Nkechinyere, the one God has given. My 5th sister's name is Umwani Bunwa, a girl is a child. My 6th sister, my father invented a name, Chukwusim Chedu. God said I should wait. Then I was born and given many names to reflect this miracle of my birth. Tobe Chukwu, praise God continuously. Chukwuza Mekbele, God has answered my prayers. Chukwu God is so great. And finally, Hosanna. Yes, Hosanna. My name is Hosanna. I am consoled that it can be shortened to Osana or Osa. What if they had called me Hallelujah? There is much to be grateful for. And just so I don't leave her out, my 2nd sister's name is Ifeoma I. There is nothing like a child. My father was just warming up at the time. As you'll gather from the names, I am Igbo. My grandfather had 10 boys, and my father was his 5th. All his other sons followed suit with male children, 4 boys, 5 boys, 2 boys, 3 boys, and so on. The girls weren't counted, just the boys. And so imagine, one of these sons, my father, having 6 girls. That basically meant that to them, he had no children. Honestly, I think he was secretly amused, in spite of the dramatic names he gave my sisters. I even think he gave them those names to make his father think he minded. Or maybe he secretly minded. After all, he didn't want to eventually lose his share of his father's inheritance. Imagine. I saved him from that. I saved my father's name from obscurity. Me, moi, Hosanna. My mother, she felt like an outcast. She suffered snide remarks from her many sisters-in-law. Then she had me and became the darling of her parents-in-law. They were so happy. Finally, their fifth son had been delivered. Quite from what, I'm still not sure. Anyway, I tell you all this because it set the stage for my upbringing. 7. The number of perfection. The 7th child, a boy. An omen of greatness. The stage was set. I could do nothing wrong. I got everything I ever wanted. Even some things I didn't want or need. I became the center of everyone's existence, and eventually the center of my own existence. Master of the universe.
You're so self-centered. You think you're the only one who matters? You never think about anybody else. You better go back to your mother, you mommy's handbag. This rant woke me from a beautiful dream I was having, surrounded by women attending to my every wish. I was Caesar in Rome and living the life. What was that noise forcing me to abandon my hedonistic life? Real life. I shut up from the couch. My girlfriend Rita was raking, pointing, shouting, just fuming. She was standing over me, arms akimbo, eyes flashing. What could I have done? I was about to find out. I cooked a pot of native jollof rice this morning before going to church. I had a society meeting and didn't eat. Thinking of the jollof rice with prawns, smoked fish, and stockfish I was coming home to. I am hungry and tired, and what do I find? You and your good-for-nothing friends ate the whole pot. Did it occur to you that the person who cooked it wants some? All I see are 3 dirty plates and countless cans of beer. At this time, who goes to visit on an early Sunday morning? For the life of me, I couldn't understand what this rant was about. I was used to having whatever I wanted. She knew that by now. This was not the first time it was happening. Why didn't she take out some for herself? I couldn't get it. My mother and sisters always took out my dad's food. They expected me to help myself to whatever was in the pot, and they never complained if I finished it. They just cooked something else. I didn't get it. My girlfriend gave a long hiss and disappeared into the room. I got up, changed the channel on the TV, and settled down to watch one of my favorite TV shows. I didn't know it was the last straw. All was quiet for about 10 minutes till I heard the bedroom door open and shut. Looked up and saw Rita at the front door with her overnight case. I am sorry, Tobe. I cannot do this anymore. I've been hoping that you start thinking of me if I showed you how by my own behavior. But I see that you're too far down the road of self-centeredness to turn back now. I wish you well. Before I could think of an answer, let alone get up, she had dropped the apartment keys I had given her on the floor and walked out. She didn't even slam the door. She closed it quietly. I really knew it was the end. Rita is very dramatic. Shouting, gesticulating, slamming doors. There was something ominous about how she left. And for the first time in my life, I felt empty. What was this feeling? What did it mean? That was when I began looking inwards. Who am I? Does anyone mean anything to me? All my life, it has always been about me. What would it feel like to think about someone else, care for someone else, do the kinds of things for others that had always been done for me? could I do these things? I didn't know how.
Fatherhood. A baby. A miniature human being, seed from my loins. My child. I am a dad, a father, papa, me. When I carried her for the first time, my heart was beating fast. My hands were shaking. I couldn't hold her for long. I was afraid my hands would crush her, and I quickly gave her back to her mother. Bridget did not understand. She still doesn't understand when I seem not to want to wake up at night to feed or change her. It's not like I don't want to. I'm afraid. She's so small. I don't want to be alone with her. I think I'll want to wait for her to get a little bit older, maybe like 3 months old. My little princess. But sometimes I think Bridget tries to hold her, clutching her as if I'm unreliable. My father says women do that they bond specially with their babies and sometimes shut the dads out. He advised me to be patient and to make out time for her as she grew older. He advised me to always volunteer to babysit her whenever Bridget wants to go out, to take her to school and to create special moments with her. He said many men have made the mistake of not being sufficiently involved in their children's upbringing, thinking there was still time enough. No, there isn't. Before they know it, the opportunity is completely lost. There is no real relationship. Too late. My father sounded sad. I was surprised. He pointed to me and said, "My son, are we close? How often do you come to me for advice? What do we do together? It is your mother you talk to. Your mother you invite to your house. And even when you come here, I feel she's the one you actually come to visit." I looked at him, sad too. I asked him, why did he always stay apart? He never made an effort to reach out to us. He was always busy, going out, watching the news. He isolated himself, being the father, the provider, the enforcer, but never the dad. And he had seemed content. This conversation with my father was like an eye-opener. I think it all has to do with how we are brought up to be. Unemotional, uninvolved. The ogre that keeps the children in check. Dad is coming, Dad is coming. We pay the bills, but we never get involved. And that's the common definition of the man of the house. But I think that was my father's generation. I do not want to make my father's mistake. No, I will not make that mistake. I want my babies to call me daddy. More than that, I want to be daddy to them with everything it implies. Present, loving, emotionally involved. These words are not incompatible with being a man. I am the new man. They say nice guys carry last. Maybe they are right. I am living proof. I pride myself on being a gentleman, romantic, considerate. I'm not sure where that gets me. The girls seem to go for those who give them heartache, bubbles, smooth operators. A girl actually told me I'm too nice, that I don't have game. I mean, what does that even mean? My parents have been married forever. My father still opens the door for my mother and calls her dearest. She still responds with, "Mon cher." And no, she does not speak French. She just likes to feel exotic. We are the women like my mom who appreciate good men, who look and care after them. I cannot count the number of girlfriends I've lost to players. And to add insult to injury, I become their confidant, their tear wiper. Hearing stories I would rather not hear. I become their brother. Chai, what a disservice they do to that word. They forget they ever dated this Shwebe. That's me. Even when I try to act tough, I still lost out, accused of being a pretender, a wolf in sheep's clothing. I just can't win. Sometimes I feel good for a friend or brother. It's tattooed on my forehead. I've heard it too many times. I take you as my brother. No, I'm not your brother. My friends look at me and fall about laughing. They say I have a talent for picking great girls. And they've given me a new name, the Scout. I scout the girls, they take them. Ouch. I'm not overly religious, but I know enough to snap my fingers and say, I reject it. That is not my portion. Some men are planning a new club for people like me, to learn how to man up and deal with the girls. The name of the club is called, wait for it, Smooth. Do you get it? Apparently, our goal is to become smooth operators. I'm not yet desperate enough to join such a club. That is admitting failure. And I actually don't want to become a smooth operator with everything that is involved. I also refuse to be classified a failure in the arts of female engagement. I confess, I wonder about the tactics smooth operators use. How do they bamboozle the ladies? What do they say to them? See, I'm even calling women ladies. Maybe they prefer babe. Do they even know that these people they fall for, use them for a body count? They are mere conquest. Why can't they see it? I won't tell them. They know. They just think they can change a bad boy. All of them, they will be the ones to take him down the aisle. He doesn't even introduce them to his parents. How then can she get him down the aisle? Well, I have my eyes on a new girl in my office. I think she has been making eyes on me.
I cannot cry. I'm unable to cry. I dare not cry. My sisters have been wailing all day. I have managed to sneak a cry while seemingly using the toilet. I am devastated. Our father just died, suddenly. Now, I am the man of the house. My chest feels tight. I don't know who to talk to. I feel I don't have permission to grieve as I would want to. People are looking to me to provide leadership. My mother is leaning on me. My wife understands. She rubs my arms. I wish I could fall down and wail with theatrics like my sisters, but that's an absolute no-no. I must be strong. I am a man. Men were born to take charge and solve all problems. Men don't cry, so we have been told. We believe it. My friends understand. Some of them have been there. They make jokes to take my mind off things. They joke that finally I have ascended the throne I've been training for, unlike a certain prince still in waiting. The banter lifts my spirits. Only they, my fellow men, understand. They feel the same pressures. For a while, they take my mind off what must be done. They have started a collection. They know I need money, lots of money. They know I have heavy lifting to do. I am grateful. That is different for women. They mourn differently. Their friends console differently. They are inclined to go religious, and they are allowed to cry as much as they want openly. It's difficult for most men to grieve. Crying does not come easy, not after a lifetime of being repeatedly told that men don't cry. My head aches from the pressures of not being able to let up my pent-up emotions. I pop some painkillers and get on with it. I saw my father cry just once my whole life, heaving heavy sobs when his father died. He didn't know I was there. He came upstairs for a minute while the guests were still downstairs and just wept. After a long minute, he went to the bathroom, washed his face, put a smile on, and went back to hold the fort. Now he was dead, and I was trying to find a way to grieve him. We are men. We talk in strong voices, trying to give the impression that we know what we're doing. We too would like to turn to someone, to depend on someone else. If you have a brother or brothers who are responsible, you're not only grateful, you are lucky. I envy my sisters. There's no shame in women crying. We expect them to cry. In fact, we want them to cry because they make us feel strong. They are, after all, the weaker sex. We can look after them. I don't think we like strong women. They make us uncomfortable. Maybe they make us feel we're not in charge and less manly. Our egos resent that. We don't think these things consciously. We feel them. As I watch my sister's grief sincerely and openly, I feel I have so much to learn if I'm to survive these emotional, psychological, and mental traumas. We men have so much to learn. This so-called weakness of women is a strength that guarantees their survival. That is no weakness.
I am cursed with good looks. I didn't always consider my good looks a curse until a man raped me. Did I hear your sharp intake of breath? I am a man, yes, and another man raped me. It was a forced encounter. I too am a part of the Me Too movement. Only in my mind, sure. I shall make no public confession. As a child, the boys and girls always thought I was too fine, and moms and dads could never take their eyes off me. And they would always exclaim, "What a beautiful child." Note, beautiful, not handsome. I was considered that good looking. Because of my so-called good looks, it was important to my parents that I excelled at school. My father would say, "You're a man. Looks don't put food on the table." I grew up knowing the value of hard work, whether at studies or anything else I set my hand to. My mother insists that I learn how to cook, so I must confess I'm a fairly good cook, even if I say so myself. What my parents didn't realize was that in trying to keep me from being tempted to trade off my looks, they set me up for perfection and attracting the envy of others. Now only you, good looking, brilliant, handy around the house, a gentleman. Now only you. What does one say to that? The women loved me. I loved them too. The sticky part was that men also made passes at me in case I was AC/DC or bisexual. I worried what it was about me that attracted them. Or was I sending silent signals I wasn't aware of? My friends always teased me and said I had the world at my feet and I could have everything I ever wanted. There is no such thing. If you have everything, something will be taken from you because no one is meant to have everything. Anyways, for those who thought I had everything, one of them was about to take something very important from me. The first encounter was with someone I thought was a friend. In hindsight, he did always hold my hand seconds too long after we shook hands. And after clapping my back in boisterous greeting, he always squeezed my shoulders. I didn't think anything of it because he seemed to be such a man's man, the so-called alpha male. I was wrong. I was about to find out the hard way. So the gang decided to meet up at our usual Friday spot. We always go there from work. As he saw me, he got up quickly and asked if I could drive him home as he didn't bring his car with him. I didn't think anything of it because my friends are heavy drinkers, except me. So it's nothing unusual to see me come in Ubers, knowing that they would be in an unfit state to drive. Anyway, when we got to his place, he seemed so drunk he could barely walk. So I helped him to the front door, opened the door and helped him to the settee. Next thing I know, I'm held in an embrace from which I cannot break free from. And as they say,
The rest is history. Friend raping friend. A grown man raping another man. Now I know how women feel. I blamed myself. There's usually a gender, status, and or physical advantage. But in this case, I'm actually taller than he is. Just not as physically fit. How do I explain that I could not break free from his hold? Now I know what mad with desire means. I did not tell my friends. I simply stopped our Friday night ritual and said my girlfriend was unhappy about it, which she was, but that never stopped me. I felt defiled. I'm Catholic, so I went for confession and I got counseling from a priest. God sent therapy. Desperately needed. Rape can happen to anyone. And don't ask me what happened to him. He will get his just desserts. One day.
I am married, but I live alone. My name is Solomon. My friends call me Solo, and I am now living solo. I'm over 60 years old. Where is my wife? She has gone for Omugo. You know, when mothers go to look after their daughters and new grandchildren. That is her job now. We have 5 children, 4 girls and a boy, and they seem to have new babies every year. In the past 3 years, we have had 5 grandchildren, and no end is in sight. My son's wife is pregnant with twins. Her people don't do Omugwo, so my wife will also go for that one. This Omugwo self, where did the name come from? I have been told it is an Igbo word. So Grace, my wife, mother of my children, grandmother, and Omugwoist, or parent nanny by any other name, is always absent from our home. I am officially a grass widower. I am lonely, upset, and jealous. The shoe is on the other foot. I'm the one now asking questions and complaining. My wife has exchanged me for our children and grandchildren. We have an informal club of grass widowers, men whose wives are largely absent, gone for Omugwo. I hate that word. And we are too old now to do what men tend to do when their wives are absent. We're too tired to chase those nubile young things who will waste no time relieving us of our retirement savings and our dignity. No, thank you. Those days are gone. We miss our wives. We are lost without them. They, on the other hand, seem to be thriving in their new lives. They don't seem to miss us at all. Maybe we took them for granted for too long, didn't notice, didn't thank them, and now they don't care. Omugwo is the game they play, and we pay for it. Financially and with our loneliness. They are having the last laugh. We keep ourselves company, aging men. Now we talk whimsically about the good old days when our wives organized our lives and we pretended to mind. Pretended they were trying to curtail our freedom. Or maybe we were not even pretending. We were the men. It occurs to me now that what we call the good old days may have been the bad old days for them. And now they are living the life and have left us to our own devices. Except we have no devices. I remember when my wife used to ask that we do things together, especially when the youngest child left the house. I was too busy with the boys and chasing skirts. I liked going to bars to hang out. I didn't think of her needs. She would come and sit with me, wanting to gist, to share stories. I remember her eyes looking at me, but of course, I preferred to gist with the boys. So she stopped. Suddenly, we no longer made conversation. Sudden? It wasn't sudden at all. I started it and didn't even notice when she stopped asking. She started going out with her friends, revamped her life. So, I thought my wife was boring then. I was a bit embarrassed by her. You know, she wasn't fashionable or savvy. She was just a wife and a mother. Just. How I miss that just part now. Now she's always away on Omugwo duties. Huh? I am left alone at home. I no longer want my own time. I want us to do things together, to go places together. But she's not here. It's solo time for solo.